All right, welcome back to the fan forum. Hendon Hooker is no longer a Detroit Lion. And that's not a hot take. That's not even true. That's just the way I feel. Guys, that game solidified everything for me. That told me everything I need to know about this quarterback battle for QB2. Kyle Allen won it. No questions asked. He looked like a professional. He looked like a 7-year vet should. He ran the offense very nice. He's Jared Goff light. He can't make those big explosive Goff type plays, but when the guy needs to go out there, when you need the guy to go out there and just run your offense, he seems like he's fully capable of doing it without panicking. Hendon, I know you listen, buddy, and we've had your back since day one, but it's time for you to go to another team. It's time for you to go to a practice squad. Go to some organization that's going to have you play more out of the shotgun role. It's not here, not Detroit.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
So other than that, that game against the Dolphins was more of an elevated practice on TV. I saw some battles that may have been won outside of the quarterback. I think our backup linebackers are starting to fall in place. The backup rotational guys in the D line are really starting to show you who's going to be making this 53-man roster cut. Same thing with our secondary. And I think there was a really interesting position battle at wide receiver. One that is not expected, but I think is going to be the talk of the next game we're about to play. So with that being said, everybody like and subscribe. Everybody like and subscribe right now. It means a lot to Hitch. It means a lot to myself. It means a lot to Hermdo. I also want to give a shout out to Hermdo. The guy has been putting out content after content, whether it's Red Wings, whether it's Lions, whether it's Tigers. He's putting out, I think, 2 to 5 videos a day. I mean, it's crazy. So big shout out there right now. If you haven't already done so, go over to his channel on YouTube and check out his other content. But with that being said, guys, we got some sports stuff to talk about. We got a game that I don't really know if we're going to get ready for, but I think it's a game that we need to start pulling up our clipboard and saying, okay, you're making the cut, right? Just like the coaches. Let's pull that board back up and say, who's on the bubble? Who's getting cut? So I mentioned with our quarterback room, pretty simple. Hooker's out. I don't really see a reason why you hold on to him. I don't know why you need to have 3 quarterbacks on this roster right now. You can give me all the reasons why that you want to salvage that 3rd round draft pick and whatever that was, but let's just time to move on from that, guys. So he's bye-bye. Bye-bye. That leads me to the defensive line, guys. We saw Hussein. We've seen Nate Lynn. We've seen all these undrafted guys or late round, 7th round, 6th round pick battling it out, man. Like, this is exactly what you want to see at camp, right? So Hussein had a little scare, pectoral injury. It sounded like he was going to be out for the season and need surgery. I'm reading today that he's going to be hurt, but it's not season-ending surgery. So, had a little scare right there, right? And I'm still a little nervous with all these injuries, man. Rackstraw. Anytime I see Lions player gets injured, it's like, so I would like to think that you all took a look at that Dolphins game and said, okay, the defensive line, there's a battle for some of these fellas, but we know who our main guys are, right? Tyleek is going to fall right in line with Aleem McNeil, with Hutch. But when it comes to wide receiver, guys, how are we feeling about the battle at wide receiver 4? Right? So Tim Patrick signs back to this team, almost a no-brainer for him, right? He's like, what? I don't really have much to do. I know my role. I know I'm not going to be the focal point of this offense, but I also know that I have an opportunity to make some easy catches, right? So then we draft Isaac Tisla. Then we get Jordan Meeks, who's an undrafted rookie wide receiver. Man, these guys are playing. They're hearts out right now and making a battle for that 4th spot. Right. So Tim Patrick's injured right now, but he's supposed to be coming back. And does Tim Patrick say to himself, or maybe I don't have a guaranteed spot on this team, right? So something to think about, something to look at. I know it's not a headline situation, right? The Tim Patrick versus the Isaac Tisla or Jordan Meeks, but when your wide receiver room is that deep and is pushing you to make these decisions, where does that allow you to give and take on other spots of the ball? For years, I don't think we were ever emotionally tied to a lot of these guys that we had to cut, right? But now that the team is getting to the point where you want to be on our 53-man roster, you can't just be anybody, any geek off the street. You heard me? You got to be handy with the steel, earn your keep. So you got to be able to play for this organization now. It's not we're begging you to come play for this organization, right? You're calling the Lions and saying, "Hey, I want an opportunity to play with you guys." So I look at these battles right now in camp and I'm like, man, this is pretty healthy, right? Like I could care less about the score. I could care less about the play calling in some of these situations, right? I saw smooth play from QB2. I'm seeing healthy battles on the field. I'm reading lots and lots and lots and lots of craziness from training camp as far as intensity and pushing each other. This game coming up against Houston is just going to be settling all the roster spots right now. It's going to be telling us real quick who's on this team. So I had seen something where Dan Campbell said this might be a game where Hendon Hooker gets most of the playing time. If that is the case, that should tell you right there that if he's getting any playing time, it's if they're trying desperately to hold on to the guy, right? And they're begging him. So I don't know. I'm just really disappointed with the whole Hendon Hooker experience. I think it's time that we move on from talking about him. So, okay, so what else I have here on my little fancy piece of paper? So we've talked about the quarterback drama. We've talked about some of the injury fallout, right? Hussein out. Nate Lynn's going to come in. It's a great opportunity for him to come in. But I see it as an opportunity for anybody, really, who wants to step up and play on this line with Hutch. Jack Campbell, Terrion Arnold, just 2 names I think we're going to be screaming all season with excitement. Seems to be a big year for Jack Campbell to take a leadership role as far as being more vocal on the field. The observations that we're getting from him from camp seems to just be he's kind of just taking that next level, that next step up as far as where we want him to be, not only as far as what we know we can do from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint, from a verbal standpoint, just the aura that he's taking up in that linebacker room, kind of making it his own, right? What we thought Derek Barnes would do, but this seems to be Jack Campbell's linebacker room, right? We love Anzalone. We can't keep him forever, but this is the Jack Campbell linebacker room, and I'm loving it, right? Reading a lot of good things about him. He's going to be super, super important on the blitz. Terrion Arnold, too, man, when healthy, which he's healthy, everything I'm reading just says lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. And how he's seeing the game at such a slower pace now that he's not a rookie corner. The pressure's not on him, right? So I'm just real and excited. I'm anticipating a very healthy, controlled year from those players. But I'm also expecting somebody to step in big. Like we had Pat O'Connor last year step up. We had a couple guys step up where there was an opportunity to make sacks where, hey, maybe if you're playing another team, you're not going to get that opportunity. Who's going to be the name that we can't stop talking about, right? We've had that with James Houston before, right? Who is going to be our pass rush specialist? Who's going to stand out? I want to see who's going to be that guy, right? I don't consider that Marcus Davenport because that's what we brought him here to do. So who's that name in camp right now? Put it in the comments that you think is going to be that next James Houston, right? Who's that guy that we say, maybe we should lock him up, or is he just a product of having Hutch? All right, so we talked about the rosters. We're looking at, there's so much talk I see of our running backs, but guys, when I see this is going to be a big year for David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Wow. Crazy that I said that. They're going to be on the field a lot together this year. So what I think is going to open up is an opportunity not only for Craig Reynolds, but that other explosive back. So who is that going to be? Is there anybody that you're pulling for? Put it in the comments. To me, I'm a little bit more curious about the wide receiver battle. The Meeks versus Lovett. Is there a dark horse? And poor Tom Kennedy. Why do we always constantly see Tom Kennedy every year? I know he makes the practice squad. He must be a really nice guy, but I'm watching him in one-on-ones, and he's the only wide receiver just absolutely getting dominated and shut down, right? He beats the corner as far as speed, but the corner just reads the route, jumps it, intercepts. Tom Kennedy doesn't even seem to care. It's like they almost said, Tom, just go out there and run straight. Don't even try to catch the ball. You're already going to be on the practice squad. So I want to know more about Tom and why his why he's so close to this team. They never can really make the 53-man roster, but every year Tom Kennedy is the preseason guy, and then he's like the practice squad hero, right? So put it in the comments, right? Second year running back, Vaikai, he had a nice impact, right? He's injured, so I tend to caution myself with him. I know Hitch is big on him, but he seems to always be a little tweaked. So for me, it's Craig Reynolds, man, dude. Craig Reynolds is a G. I love that we have Craig Reynolds on our team. I think for the first time in a couple years, this is the only Reynolds on the team. There's no Josh Reynolds, and there's no there was another Reynolds too that Hitch used to get caught up with. So I think we're safe now. I think it's just one Reynolds. Defense continues to be obnoxious and annoying, right? So that's no surprise. I think that's what Goff called them, annoying. Really hard to play against. I am really excited to see how this, speaking of defense, the Bengals currently are and have been in contract disputes right now with Trey Hendrickson. That's their all-star stud pass end, a DN specialist. He's a monster, had a killer year, I think was number 1 or number 2 in sacks. Whatever. Wants to get paid. If you guys are listening, I don't have to give you all the details. If there was ever a time where Brad Holmes was going to go out and make a them picks trade, this is it. This is where I give him all the ability to do it. This is the guy. This is the guy you sell the farm for in the one season, to have that one special season. That being the caveat, you have to win the frickin' Super Bowl if you do this, Brad. Not saying it's a realistic option, but I'm also saying, ladies and gentlemen, if I think Brad Holmes, if I think I know Brad Holmes like I know Brad Holmes, this would be that one time that he does it. There were some articles out there, there were some interviews out there teasing the idea, right? So I know last year we were getting all excited for Max Crosby, right? Myles Garrett, but that's the equivalent. That's the blockbuster impact. That's having these elite dominating demons on each end of the line coming at your quarterback or the opponent's quarterback. I can't tell you what that would do, right? When healthy, we would be the instant favorite to win the Super Bowl if Brad Holmes pulls that trade off. We'd also be in a real good position too, because their value for him right now is they could have got a lot more for him in the summer, but with him being so disgruntled and them being so far apart and the Bengals already having to lock everybody else up, this could be one of those times where Brad pulls off that move, right? Is this, I don't want to say us to the Rams because that was an even for even, right? We got ours, they got theirs. But this is blockbuster, right? This is we would be talking about some emergency broadcasting blockbuster level shit, right? I don't know. Think about it, put it in the comments. I've seen Jack Campbell's being name tossed around as far as who we give up with a draft pick. Pretty sure he's on the no-go list for a lot of people. Me personally, I think if you're going to give me Trey Hendrickson, I'm okay with losing Jack Campbell. Be mad at me all you want right now, ladies and gentlemen, but that would mean a lot, right? That the addition, what we get out of that, for that, I know it's that 1 year, right? Selling it all for that 1 year, but that is very tempting to take, right? So, anyways, what I'm trying to say is this preseason needs to end. Kidding ourselves if we think this 3 games is the magic number. I still really don't understand that. I'm ready for some concrete football to start, right? The fantasy football drafts are picking back up. My son had his last night with his buddies, so it got me all excited. I know that everybody else is starting to have their fantasy football drafts. That can be make or break with health, right? Some guys, what was it, the Christian McCaffrey injury year where we had him, or where I drafted him and then he got injured. And it was like, well, the season's over. So that's another thing. Do you want to get your draft over with or do you want to wait? Right. So I've seen a lot of guys yesterday drafting Brian Robinson Jr. over Bijan Robinson. How many times have you been at a draft party and you pulled the similar name, not the right name, but the similar name and picked it up? I know that's happened before. Adam, if you're listening, that had to happen in our Goodfellas Fantasy Football League. I'm sure it was at your apartment, but I remember that happening. I don't remember whose name it was, but it was one of those years, I think, before they did all of the, like, where you actually had to buy the draft guides. Like that was like the first year before they did that. Or the first year they did that. And then the year before we were writing everything by hand, which, oh my God, what a mess that was. That's another thing, man. I want to hear stories of people's fantasy football draft parties, right? Before it got super techny, right? Where you had to do a lot of manual things, right? Like, what did you do? Did you get the whiteboard and manually write everything out? Did you, like, tell me stories? Because I know there's got to be stories of kind of how you did your fantasy football before it was so click, point and shoot. Right now, the drafts are so easy to do. You can get those draft kits. You can get everything at the click of a button. But yeah, just put the comments in there, or, call the grit line, leave me a story. Call Hitch, tell him, who gives a shit, right? I just want to hear the story. Someone's got to have a good one out there. All right, so we got Houston, Detroit. Let's take a look at this real quick. Let's do the countdown to kickoff. I am not expecting too much from a score standpoint in this game. It's a 1:00, third preseason game. Nobody of importance is playing. I am just watching who is winning certain position battles, and it's going to be that wide receiver number 4, right? That's all I'm watching, right? And if you think there's anything else relevant more to watch, put it in the comments, but I think you're nuts. But I will say, though, before the game, we're going to be doing a live stream, right? Getting on here before each game, an hour before. So we'll be doing this for the Houston Texans preseason game. But guys, most importantly, we're starting the season at Lambeau. 4:25 on the road on September 7th. That's going to be wild. That's going to be so fun. I cannot wait for that game, right? I mean, I'm sure all of you are excited just as much as I am, but opening up the season in Lambeau, 4:00, that's exciting. I mean, I don't have the jitters. I don't have the nerves. I know we're the better team. I'm confident in what we're putting out there. I am so excited to play in Lambeau when the weather is nice. That to me is going to go a long way. But give me some of your in-season predictions. Put them in the comments, right? Like, we're starting to get to the point where I'm looking at that schedule thinking to myself, ooh, that's a win, that's a loss, that's a toss-up. That's going to be a this type of game. This is going to be a trap game, right? So let me know if your mind's already starting to travel in a certain direction with these Lions. Man, I'll tell you what. I'm thinking to myself, Mark, if you can get through this preseason game, with everybody staying healthy, you're going to start the season off in a really good situation. Most didn't say that. I guess I got a neck on wood, but considering everything and the way things ended last year, I'm very optimistic at the way this season started out as far as just the way the team's been making decisions, the way that they've been managing certain players' roles in the offseason. I'm real excited to see that, dude. And I'll tell you what, I think the biggest growth you're going to see is in Jahmyr Gibbs this year. Not that it's not a big name that I'm throwing out there, but I truly think even though we all love him and appreciate him, there's just so much more to him from a performance standpoint that the league hasn't seen yet. And I think that if the Lions fans already haven't seen it, the league is going to fully see Jahmyr Gibbs this year and really understand how big he is. He's going to pull himself away from Bijan Robinson going back to that draft, and you're going to say it's Gibbs all day. I just feel like it's happening, right? So going to be a real good season for him. Another one I'm excited to see come back and healthy is Khalil Dorsey. Khalil Dorsey was another gentleman that had a nice kickoff to last season, plays a big role on our team, and he was unfortunately hurt as well. So, Khalil Dorsey, I'm rooting for you, buddy. I think you're going to have a great time. I think we're all excited for you to be here. You are going to be the special teams force we need you to be. So as far as special teams too, I want to bring up Nick Whiteside. He's making a huge, big push right now. He is literally the United Football League defender that we signed from the Michigan Panthers. He's the gentleman that just shut down Tom Kennedy in practice. So putting up some big tape in camp right now, but coming from a guy who had played in the United Football League, right? He played for the Battlehawks, former UFL to NFL. His name's Nick Whiteside. He's a DB. For the game, he had 5 tackles and a pass block up, and his play really made me go, okay. Considering what we need and how hurt we are in this certain position, this gentleman might be someone you'd want to sacrifice and say, if I'm going to cut and not hold 3 quarterbacks, I didn't hooker, it's because I want Nick Whiteside on my team on the back end of the defense. So, really looking forward to this. This sounds like a good story too, right? I guess Dan Campbell has already dubbed him Ironsides for his toughness on the field. He was a UFL star with the St. Louis Battlehawks and comes from Auburn Hills, Michigan, and he attended Saginaw Valley State, which is really cool too, man. You start compiling all these local boys on this team. It's kind of a cool story, right? So it's possible that he might be a casualty of the cut and then back to the practice squad, but it sounds like he's doing really nice. Rocky Sin worked really well with him too. It looks like from a camp perspective, they write here that the veteran and the rookie look like they're playing really well together. They've been very impressive, and so has Avonte Maddox, who looked, I don't want to say impressive because not much about that Miami game screamed impressive at me, but he looked like someone who we signed to come in here and be veteran depth, and that's what he's going to offer. So, okay, so we've talked about the camp stuff. We've talked about the Lions stuff. It's a preseason game. It's Houston. Who gives a shit? I want to move on now to our boys, our Tigers. We're wrapping up the month of August, which gets us right into postseason baseball, right? It's no secret. I'm a big proponent, and someone better be hitting 300 if you're going to be going in the World Series. But these Tigers, man, they just juiced the Astros last night 10-0. They're proving me wrong night in and night out, and I guess, guys, keep doing it because at this point, all the big payroll teams, they don't seem to be a full lock-in. This is the team, right? Dodgers, that was your team. Understandably last year. But guys, I think the Tigers have a decent shot, right, if their arms stay healthy, to at least win the Central. Okay. I don't think there's a clear cut favorite in baseball right now to win the World Series, which excites me for the postseason. Gives me a little bit of optimism, right? It's not like basketball where you can kind of call out how the postseason is going to somewhat look, right? You know, the trimming the fat teams are going to fall off. But I don't think that's going to be said this year for baseball. So let me know. Put it in the comments below what you think about the Tigers. We're kind of crossing that threshold to where you could make a bold take and stand with it. The pitching looks to be pretty robust and decent. I'm very happy that we did not go after Suarez. It looks like he's just continuing to be kind of what I said, not worth giving up a ton of draft picks just because the guy was hitting a lot of home runs, right? But hey, that's the game of baseball. I get it. That's why people get traded and moved around. That's why Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid to this day. So let me know what you think about it, guys. We really thrive off the feedback. I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate all of the compliments and the comments and the sharing and the liking. We're almost up to 200 subscribers, but I really need everybody's help getting up to 500. That's like the threshold that where we hit 500, we're kind of a legitimate, somewhat legitimate option on YouTube for other people to watch. So think about that. Maybe go down the street, door to door, demanding all your neighbors subscribe. You can blame Hitch. That's kind of what I do most of the time. Just blame Hitch. But no, seriously, all kidding aside, I really want to thank you guys. I want everybody to get on here before the Lions game on Sunday for Houston. We're going to try out the live thing again. It's been a couple weeks since we've had one. They seem to always be a little weird and a little fun. They breed good conversation, but it's a good way for everybody to start practice talking trash, right? We've got a fan who is the Doc, who you've heard me mention before. He's a Buccaneers fan, and I was talking with him today, and I said, Doc, it's time that we get you on and record an episode before you guys have the showdown with us, the Motown Showdown, and October 20th. A Monday night game, right, with the Bucks. So I want to get the Doc on early, and I want him to tell me why he's a Bucks fan. He can tell you guys why he's a Bucks fan, and then he's got his buddy the Do, who is a closeted Bears fan. This guy came kind of out of nowhere. He is a friend of the Doc's, but he just fell upon us in the comment section one day, and you can always just tell when a Bears fan starts talking, and from instant, he was just like, listen, I'll be here every week, and he shows up and he makes no qualms about it when he has an opinion, and we thank him for that. But I want to see it from a closeted Bears fan perspective, right? A guy who just realized he likes the Bears, a guy who we're talking about seeing how we can get him tickets to go see the Bears play. We're going to set him up in an accommodation on the south side of Chicago. I hear it's really nice. So I want to start doing that, right? So if you're a fan of another team or you want to come on here and you got something to say, let me know, because we're going to put some shows together this season, and it's going to be fun. So with all that being said, I want to thank you guys for listening. Like, subscribe, put the comments below who you think that 53-man roster sleeper that no one's talking about that I didn't mention. Let me know. Put something below, please. All right. One Pride.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.